Kouri Richins murder trial.
Not easy. He was screaming and crying and said, Eric's not breathing, Eric's not breathing.
Kouri Richins is guilty of attempted aggravated murder.
Imagine you've just lost your husband. He's 39 years old, healthy, vibrant. You have 3 little boys who need answers. So you do what any grieving mother might do. You channel the pain into something beautiful. You write them a children's book. You sit in front of a local TV camera, eyes soft with sorrow, and you tell the hosts you wrote it to help them understand what just happened. The book has a father with angel wings, watching over his son. You title it, Are You With Me? You are the picture of grace under impossible grief. And then the police come knocking, because it turns out you already knew exactly why their father was gone. Camas, Utah, a small mountain town nestled just outside the glamour of Park City, where ski lodges gleam and real estate moves fast. This is where Eric and Kouri Richins built what looked, from the outside, like the American dream. Eric was the kind of man people remembered. He co-owned a successful stonemasonry business called C&E Masonry. He coached his boys' soccer teams. He took his 3 sons, Carter, Ashton, and Weston, hiking and hunting. He had the best laugh. People who knew him said so, repeatedly and unpromptly. Kouri was ambitious, sharp, and driven. She ran her own real estate company, flipping homes and closing deals. Friends described her as hardworking and capable, a good mother, a loving wife. They'd met in 2009, married in June 2013. Together, they had everything, or so it appeared. Behind closed doors, the Richins' marriage was fracturing under the weight of money and mistrust. Beginning around 2019, prosecutors allege Kouri started siphoning money from Eric's accounts, without his knowledge or permission. They claim she used a fraudulent power of attorney to draw $250,000 line of credit on the family home and quietly withdrew every dollar. She had multiple real estate projects running simultaneously, and by 2022, investigators say her personal debt had ballooned to a staggering $7.5 million. Eric found out, and in late 2020, he did something significant, something he kept entirely secret from his wife. He sat down with an estate planning lawyer and told her he had 2 goals: to protect himself from what he called the ongoing abuse and misuse of his financials by Kouri, and to protect his 3 sons long-term. He created the Eric Richins Living Trust, placed his sister Katie in control of his estate, and removed Kouri as his beneficiary of his $500,000 life insurance policy. Kouri had no idea any of this had happened, and Eric had one more fear he was carrying, one he'd begun to share with people he trusted. He believed his wife was trying to kill him. February 14th. 2022, Valentine's Day. Eric and Kouri had dinner together at their home in Camas. Sometime after the meal, according to court filing, Eric became violently ill. He later told a friend he suspected Kouri had put something in his food. He was so sick, so suddenly, that he used his young son's EpiPen just to stabilize himself. This wasn't the first time either. Years earlier, on a trip in Greece, Eric had become seriously ill after drinking something Kouri gave him. He told his sister at the time that he thought she'd tried to poison him then too. By February 2022, Eric Richins had apparently decided to try and stay in the marriage. For the boys. But he was scared enough to tell people close to him, "If I die, you need to look at her, because I think she's trying to kill me." 17 days later, he was dead. The evening of March 3rd, 2022, Kouri told investigators she made Eric a Moscow Mule, a cocktail, to celebrate a house closing from her real estate business. She said they had a celebratory drink together. Then she went to check on one of the boys and fell asleep in his room. When she came back to the master bedroom around 3 a.m., Eric was cold to the touch. She called 911. On the recording, played to the jury years later, you can hear her crying.
Okay, can you do CPR? You don't know, I'm gonna tell you how to. Are you willing to do CPR? Yeah. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Count out loud so I can hear you. I'm counting with you. 1, 3, 4.
Her defense attorney would call those sounds the sounds of a wife becoming a widow. Eric Richins was pronounced dead at the hospital. He was 39 years old. His 3 sons were 9, 7, and 5. At first, Kouri told people, including her housekeeper, that Eric had died of a brain aneurysm. but the autopsy told a different story. Eric Richins had died from opioid poisoning. Specifically, fentanyl. Not just a little. 5 times the lethal dose of fentanyl. A synthetic opioid that is already 50 to 100 times more potent than morphine was found in his bloodstream. The toxicology report also found medications that had been prescribed specifically to Kouri Richins. The question investigators now had to answer was, where did the fentanyl come from? The trail led to someone listed in Kouri's phone simply as CL. The family housekeeper, Carmen Lorber. Investigators say Kouri had initially asked Carmen for a milder controlled substance, describing it as being for an investor. Then Kouri repeatedly asked for something stronger. Her exact request, according to the testimony, she wanted the Michael Jackson stuff, a reference to the powerful opioids associated with the pop star's death. Carmen Lorber testified that she bought fentanyl pills for Kouri on multiple occasions in early 2022.
Yes, I did.
What did you ask her?
I said, please tell me these pills were not for him. When they had mentioned that it was from an overdose, that hit hard. Only for the fact that if that's what happened, I needed to step up and take accountability.
The last purchase, the critical one, came just 6 days before Eric Richins died. But here's where this story takes a turn that is almost impossible to process. 1 year after her husband's death, Kouri Richins' self-published children's book, Are You With Me, features a father with angel wings who watches over his young son from above. It was designed, she told interviewers, to help her boys process their grief, to help other children too, to be the book she just could not find when she needed it most. In April 2023, she appeared on Good Things Utah, a local morning show, to promote the book. She spoke warmly, softly about loss, about healing.
My husband passed away unexpectedly last year, so it's March 4th was a 1-year anniversary for us, and he was 39. It completely took us all by shock.
About motherhood. 1 month later, she was arrested for the murder of the man that book was supposedly written to mourn. The woman who poisoned her husband with 5 times a lethal dose of fentanyl had then published a grief guide for children and gone on television to sell it. And there's one more detail that makes the financial picture impossible to ignore. In January 2022, just weeks before Eric died, Kouri had taken out a life insurance policy on her husband. She signed the application herself. She named herself the beneficiary. Eric never knew. Prosecutors alleged she forged his signature. Combined with other policies, the total payout she stood to collect, approximately $2 million. And under the terms of their prenuptial agreement, if Eric died while they were married, his business interest transferred to her as well. His estate was valued at roughly $4 million. She was now $7.5 million in debt. Eric had quietly removed her from his will. The math is brutal. Kouri Richins was arrested on May 8th, 2023 and has remained behind bars ever since. Denied bail at every turn, with judges ruling she posed a danger to the community. The road to trial was long and fiercely contested. Her attorneys fought to move the trial out of Summit County, arguing the media coverage made a fair jury impossible. The judge disagreed. They tried again. The Utah Supreme Court declined to intervene. Jury selection began on February 10th, 2026. The trial commenced on February 23rd. Over 5 weeks, the jury heard from the housekeeper who said she procured fentanyl for Kouri. They heard from a forensic accountant who detailed $7.5 million in debt and a trail of forged documents. They heard about the life insurance policy without Eric's knowledge, about the trust he'd secretly set up to protect his boys, about the Valentine's Day poisoning attempt, about Eric telling his friends he feared for his life. The prosecution's closing argument was direct. She needed Eric Richins' money to have her fresh start at life. The defense opened its case with a 911 call, Kouri's voice breaking, crying into the phone as she described finding her husband unresponsive.
He's not breathing. He's just cold. He's just cold. Who's cold? My husband. Can you do CPR? No. You don't know. I'm going to tell you how to. Are you willing to do CPR? Yeah. Okay.
Those were the sounds of a wife becoming a widow, her attorney told the jury. Kouri Richins did not testify. Her defense rested without calling a single witness. The jury deliberated for less than 3 hours. On March 14th, 2026, Kouri Richins was found guilty on all counts. Aggravated murder, attempted aggravated murder for Valentine's Day incident, insurance fraud, and forgery. She faces 25 years to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Sentencing is scheduled for May 2026. Eric Richins' 3 sons, Carter, Ashton, and Weston, are now in the custody of his family. They were 9, 7, and 5 when their father died. They are teenagers now. What is most unsettling about the Kouri Richins story isn't just the crime, it's the audacity of what came after. The carefully crafted performance of grief, the television interviews, the children's book, the 911 call played for a jury. Eric Richins told the people closest to him that he believed his wife wanted him dead. He quietly changed his will, protected his estate, and stayed because of his boys. And still, he couldn't outrun it. His sons will grow up knowing that the book their mother wrote to help them grieve their father was written by the person who took him from them. Are you with me? He asked that question too. In the end, no one was. If this story hit you, subscribe to Femme Noir. New episodes every week. And if you want to go deeper on a case, drop it in the comments below. We read every one.